To the FMC Most Sport Workshop, here with Rafa. How are you, Rafa? How are you, my dear? And today I'm going to tell you a story about a customer who came here. In this case, it wasn't with my car. You're watching my video, but we're going to explain to you what the problem was and how long he ended up staying there to solve the problem, to find a workshop that could accurately identify the problem and solve it. Even though it was already there, my God, I can't take it anymore. I go to one workshop, I go to another, no one can solve it. And then a guy says, "Roller, it didn't solve it, go to another one." In other cases, in other options that he ended up going through, they wanted him to use this part thinking it was a problem and it wasn't absolutely certain, but they pushed the part, he ended up using it and it ended up not being worth it. And the problem with his car, basically experiential, was that his car would stall at low speeds. And then, in this case, some workshops thought it could be the battery. They wanted to replace it with an original battery that costs a lot and it ended up not working. So he spent a lot of money on the battery, which wasn't working. So he came up with another option, thinking it could be the issue of the faulty start-stop. The section that goes into the battery wasn't working either. The issue of programming the battery was also done and thought about in other places, right? Because we know that these start-stop batteries have to be changed when the battery is changed too. So, in this process, it's the thing that we least want for the customer here at FMC. It's the customer who will bring the car, change a part, right, change another part, right, and keep charging and spending, and the customer never leaves satisfied because the car doesn't work. So, the idea here is, it may take longer, but it's better to stay without a car for a while and leave with the company that the car is fixed, than to spend money, staying without a car in installments, because every time you try to fix it, you'll stay without a car longer in the overall project, right? So here the idea is to bring the car, do the exact maintenance, find out the problem exactly, and then you'll give the quote for the correct part and Rafa will explain what the problem really was with the car. Well, guys, the car that had this defect was an A3, but with a 1.4 engine. The customer reported that it had a start-stop failure on the dashboard. Well, the car would stall sometimes, and it would go a while without showing the defect, which makes it a little difficult to diagnose the problem, right? But when it did show the defect, the car would be really annoying to drive. The car would stall at low speeds, it would take longer to start, it would not work with the start-stop. Every time you stopped the car at a traffic light, the car would stall, you had to start it, and the car would stall again. So, it was a very annoying situation that the customer had been trying to solve for a while, months, actually, right? The customer had been putting up with this behavior from the car for months, and that's when he found us, brought the car, explained what was happening, and we started to analyze the car. Well, since the defect was intermittent, the defect wasn't present in the car all the time. The first step was for us to test the car until the car presented the defect in our hands, until we could see how the car behaved at the time of the failure. So, it took about 2 days for the car to start presenting the defect. When it presented the defect, we noticed that it was taking a long time to start. At that moment of the long start, the car would already turn on the EPC, injection light, start-stop failure, and it would work like an emergency strategy. So, we were able to see the defect in the car. We saw that it was a defect more related to the functioning of the injection and that the start-stop failure was a strategy, right? Since the injection was not working properly, the car's CU itself gave this start-stop failure. It turned off the start-stop to avoid making the situation worse. So we started to analyze it, and we saw that at the moment the car had a failure, it lost the rotation signal in the ECU. It worked in an emergency basically through the phase sensor. And that's when we started to suspect this little guy here, which is the rotation sensor. From the moment we suspected that it was working more, we needed to do a test, right, so as not to replace it without being 100% sure. We analyzed its signal with an oscilloscope and saw that at the moment of the failure we had a problem that reduced the amplitude of this signal. And then, from the moment we were able to see this behavior, we replaced it with 100% certainty. We replaced it with a genuine part purchased from a dealership. And then, after the installation, we reset the errors, right? we erased all the TCs, and the car started working normally again. We did this while the car was still in the shop during the test period, right, since the defect was intermittent, and then it was resolved. The car has been ready for months and it has never had the problem again. And another thing that we can also see is the following. Well, in this case, at the time he replaced the battery with an original one. An original battery today costs around $3,000. And this sensor with labor and replacement does not reach that value. So, he replaced a battery that may have really been needed. When the car arrived, the battery had already been replaced. We do not know if his old battery was really bad or not. So, it could be that he changed the battery for nothing, wasted our $3,000, instead of actually changing the part that was really needed, and that the cost would be lower than the $3,000 for the battery. In this case, since he changed it, well, whether he likes it or not, he doesn't lose the money. But for someone who sometimes needs to change or replace it and is prepared to spend a certain amount and is not sure that he will ask for it, it is something that is not good for the customer. And another thing is that when this problem happened, it was a problem that, whether he likes it or not, the person runs a risk, because in this case it was an armored car. So you can rest assured that if you die in some dangerous place, at least the armor is there. But for someone who doesn't have a car, sometimes has small children in the car, or something, and this problem keeps happening, and it is an intermittent problem, it is a problem that is difficult to solve. Even many of you who have had problems of this type in your car say something like this. Whenever I go to the garage, the problem stops. It always goes away, right? Quote, it's like saying that it only happens a lot when you take it to the garage. So, anyone who has intermittent problems with their car also has to understand that they have to give up some extra time, right? To leave the car at the garage, so that the garage has more agile, longer time, so that it can actually test the car. And, also, for you, as a customer, when you have a problem like this, come to the garage, preferably come here, obviously, and explain and do exactly everything that's happening, okay? So, if you want, even write it down, on your cell phone, with a location. Oh, my car always fails, or it always has problems at this type of rotation, always at this type of use, with the car hotter, with the car colder, because this also helps the garage to better identify what the real problem with your car is. Okay, guys? So, if you want to do maintenance, identify the problems that your cars are having. If you need to do a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 on various Volkswagen, Audi or other brands, Rafa is here to help you. He's here to both solve your car problem and also to make your car stronger. So, if you need it, I'll leave it here for you, okay? The phone number, the address here at FMC Motorsport. If you need it, come here. And also basic maintenance, okay? Oil change, filter change. Here we also serve with original oils. We also serve with oils superior to the original ones. So here you can choose both the best oil like the tuna oil, or also an oil a little lower in case your oil is original and you don't need it that much. Alright guys, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if any of you are going through this program, comment here below for us if you've also struggled or if you managed to solve the problem. Deal? Big hug guys. Bye.